keep talking, and so we're live right now.
Okay.
And I'll wait for any signs of life on the other end, and then.
Let me know when you're ready to, because I want to say a couple things before
Yep.
I introduce them.
Definitely. So we have about, I don't know, what a 17-second delay, so it'll take a little while for it to get going on the Facebook.
Okay.
I like this little setup.
Well, and that's what the other thing Kyle's doing. He doesn't only do like the security thing. He's boosting them at our greenhouse, the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So like we can be in the greenhouse, like say in the wintertime, I want to do a demonstration in the greenhouse. We'll be able to have enough Wi-Fi signal and stuff to be able to do that.
Hi, Frank. I'm just saying hello to people that are starting to.
Frank Garcia?
That I'm seeing them. Yeah, Frank Garcia is with us.
Yeah.
John Sacchetti's with us. John says good evening.
I wonder if he'd be able to help us by, we're going to go back to church in the second Sunday of this month. And we got people that are in
Out of state.
that
Might
I've been
wanna-
doing Bible study in Sunday school on Thursdays
On Zoom.
and Sundays on Zoom. But we want to get a program started, so they can still see us when we have service.
At the church.
He'd be the man
At
because
the
he does
church.
it for St. John's.
Yeah.
He does all the stuff for St. John's
Yeah.
Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle would be, I mean, seriously, he'd
Yeah.
be a,
Yeah. That would
Go
work.
ahead and run the intro and then let
Right.
you know when
Right.
all your
Okay.
baby.
okay. Yeah, he'd be the guy to do it. Because I would think that he would, he does all that stuff for the church, for St.
Yeah.
John's. I mean, he's hooked up all their stuff, did all their Wi-Fi, all the computer stuff, all the audio stuff for the church and everything.
Okay.
He's the main one. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's been a hot week. I wanted to say a couple things first. Carol Spencer, do you remember her? Martha Carol? Spencer heard me a couple videos ago say I couldn't find any canning lids. And lo and behold, she messaged me, and yesterday I went over to her house and she gave me 12 boxes of canning lids. So I want to thank her very much. I said, I got to figure out, she didn't want anything for them, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do for her. I have to do something. Maybe when I can some of the stuff, I'll give it to her. I don't know. The second thing I wanted to say is to keep the Ken Wallingford and his family in your prayers and thoughts. Ken passed away yesterday. Martha will know who Ken is because we both worked at National with Ken and Kelly Wallingford and his wife Deb. So just keep them in their thoughts. Kenny, he was young. He was only 67 years old. So it's sad. So, and I want to introduce finally everybody. Gordon. We both talked, and I think Gordon said something about somebody's keeping us apart or something's going on. But 3 weeks ago, Gordon and Martha were supposed to come on, and it just didn't work out with weather-wise and other things and that. So, but I want to welcome Gordon and Martha Harris, and I'm so excited for them to be here tonight. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
my pleasure. Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
And some of I guess we can start out like where you guys aren't from around here. Where were you born at?
I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, and Martha's from Leeton, Alabama. And we met in Paducah, Kentucky at West Kentucky Vocational School. I was in barbering and she was in business, and I was taking barbering. And that's how we met.
I was just going to ask you that. That's, wow. So then you went to college for barbering?
Yeah.
And did you pursue that for a while?
Yeah, I pursued that until I got drafted.
Okay, I was just going to ask you about that. Were you volunteer or were you drafted?
No, I got drafted, yeah, in 1970.
70?
Yeah,
In the Army?
in the Army. Yeah.
Where did you do, where was your basic training?
Basic training was at Fort Polk, Louisiana, or Fort Pute, Louisiana, as we called it. Yeah, and it was known for Little Vietnam. It had, you had, I think it was South Fork where they called Little Vietnam, which was AIT. You had your basic training, then you had your
advanced.
AIT.
Yep.
And AIT was Little Vietnam, so that they called it down there at Fort Polk.
So it was probably pretty humid and.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was hot.
And you were in the
Army.
What?
I was in the Army, but after AIT, I went to jump school.
Okay.
So I was a paratrooper.
All right. With
Yeah.
was that with the 182nd?
No, I was with the 173rd
Third
first.
first.
That's who I was with in Vietnam.
Okay.
And then after I left Vietnam, I went to Fort Campbell with the 101st. And then after Fort Campbell, I went to Germany. Then when I came back from Germany, I was stationed with the 82nd at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did one tour in Vietnam, but
Yeah.
you did it with the 173rd Airborne.
Yeah. Mm.
Now, where were you stationed in? Where were they? And do you remember?
Yeah. Well, we started out at Cameron Bay. That's where everybody mostly came in at.
Sure.
And from there, I went to An Cay. And then from An Cay, I went to LZ Uplift. And then LZ English. Those were the base camps.
Sure.
So we had a base camp, and then from the base camp, you went out on missions and stuff like that.
So did you have any of your friends with? I mean, not so much. I guess friends that you met in like AIT or anything like that were friends from school. I mean, that you grew up with, right?
No, not in my unit. It was friends from school that probably were in Vietnam, but none from. You just made new friends. In basic training, I had a buddy of mine, Joe Hahn, Mickey Hahn, we called him, that I went to high school with. We got drafted at the same time, so we were stationed in basic training together.
Okay.
Down at Fort Polk, and then we went to AIT together, and after that we got separated. I don't know where Joe went. I went to Vietnam, so.
Have you ever talked to Joe again?
He passed away a few years ago. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So, one question so you guys weren't married yet when you went to Vietnam?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you were still together?
Oh, he's writing me. He was writing me letters.
Did you still have the letters?
No, I don't know where they are. They were in my mom's house somewhere. But
So
they
you
probably.
think she got them? Oh, don't lose
No, they're
those.
probably there somewhere. I just don't know where they
I
are.
think your kids would really, that would be something that I would really treasure.
We found a couple in Gordon's little pink suitcase that he had.
Pink suitcase?
Where's my mother's suitcase?
We found
my-
a couple letters.
That's a long story. We don't talk about that. But yeah, I might have a few letters, but she's not telling you the whole story. See, I was supposed to be going with this other girl at the school, and so when I left, she used to work in the cafeteria at the school, and so when I got ready to leave after I got drafted, I was leaving school, and they were down in the cafeteria, and she was making me a little lunch, to take with me, and so we were talking, and the next thing I know, we were kissing. And of course, all her friends were
5 Alabama girls.
five
were there.
Alabama girls that were, came to school with her, were looking like, because they knew I was going with some other girl, And so I used to write her and the other girl when I was in the service. And you can tell the rest of the story about your
Miss
dorm
Long,
mother.
Miss
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
She called me one day. She's passing out the mail, and she said, "Come here, girl. Come here, Alabama," which is what she called all the Alabama girls. "Why are you getting more letters from that Harris kid than Norma Jean?" I said, "You so nosy. Just put the mail in the box. Don't question who's getting what." "Well, you getting more letters than she's getting." I said, "Well, don't tell nobody that."
So that's how, we kind of got together. Norma Jean didn't write as much as Martha did,
I didn't know that.
But, so when I came home, instead of going right home, I went to Alabama to see her,
Sure.
And somehow or another, in the pouring down rain, I think I said, "You want to get married?"
Really?
Yes.
That's what you said.
That's what I said. Did I send you money to get
A ring, yeah.
I sent her money to get a ring. After a while,
And this is just like, okay, so let me get this story straight. So you're getting ready to ship off the service.
Yeah.
you knew who she was, but
Oh
you
yeah,
weren't
we all
really
went to
going
school
out-
together. Yeah.
We weren't going out with her. You're going out with another
no, she
girl.
was going with a friend of one of my.
And she put a lip lock on you that made you want to marry her.
That's a
Made you
good way
wanna
to put
marry
that.
her.
Yeah, that's a good
She put it on me. I put it on her. I don't
good way to put that out there, buddy. That's what
know. We
happened.
put it on each other.
I had to add a little spice. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
great story.
That's how it happened.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
And
Yeah.
and you said yes on just
Yes,
writing those
I
letters
did.
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth.
Well, he didn't ask me on the letters. He
I didn't
came
ask
down
him.
the
No,
letters.
I know, but I
Yeah.
mean, just
Yeah.
by knowing him through the letters. And
Yeah, yeah.
For wow.
I was a mail order bride.
You could say that. Oh, gosh, that's funny as hell. So now the other question is, being a black man,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like being number one in the service and in Vietnam? Did you see any,
Prejudice?
yes, because of that, or was it like, you
No.
got my back, I got your back.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter who the hell
Exactly.
you are.
And the thing about that is, and we discussed this one time. Was doing diversity thing with the Rockville Rock.
Rock River Diversity Team.
Yeah, the diversity group that's here in Sterling. And we talked about this while we were in Vietnam. We were all close, especially when we went to the field. You had everybody's back. When you came out of the field, everybody went to their little groups. The white guys went to their groups, the Hispanics, But, when we got ready to go on a mission, all that ceased.
Everybody was equal.
Everybody was equal, And then, I mean, not like we didn't associate when we were back,
On base.
from the mission.
Sure.
We still talked to one another and stuff, but when we had our little party and stuff, we usually hung out with each other. Everybody had their different cultures that, they like to do. We like to play spades and bid whiz, and a lot of them didn't know how to do that, play bid whiz or anything like that.
What is that?
It's kind of like spades, but
You bid how many books you can make.
yeah, that's one of the things. It'd take a while to tell you how
Okay, all
how
right,
it really
but
goes.
It's a card game.
It's a
Yeah.
card game, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's kind of like spades, but you bid, highs and lows, and
Sure.
it's a whole lot of intricacies to the game, So you have to learn it, but
But it's fun.
But when we were on a mission, everybody's got this. Everybody's six, I mean, we tight. You ain't no color or nothing. We all together. But when we came back to the States, seems like everything changed. You didn't talk to each other as much as you used to, and everybody had their own little groups. It was that separation of cultures and everything else.
So how was it growing up? I mean, when both of you guys, like you in Alabama and you and they're young. I mean,
Yeah.
growing up in the 50s and the 60s.
Well,
You know,
my area was all black. I didn't have any white friends. We all went to a black school, all black teachers, so we weren't integrated then. So I didn't have any white friends. All my friends were black.
Okay.
So, and then after the 70s,
60s.
68 was the last year that we came out, just one black class, and then my sister, they integrated her. 70?
I don't know your sister. I don't know your family.
I think it was
can
in the
only tell you mine.
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, we didn't have a lot of fights and things about color and prejudice. If we want to play with a white kid, we played with them. So,
Right.
we were down in the bottom, so it didn't, they lived in the neighborhood. If they want to come down there and play with us, that was fine. So we didn't have a lot of
And that's the
dislikes.
way it was with me, and I mean, I'm not as old as you guys, but even growing up, like in when we were in school, we had a couple black, and it was nothing. I mean, we all
Yeah.
played together.
We
There
all
was
played
nothing
together.
ever said about it.
Yeah, we all
or
played together,
anything.
so.
And my mom and dad never said anything to us or anything. If any of them came over or we did anything, went to a birthday party because we went to their birthday.
Yeah.
It was fine, and I never thought anything of it.
Yeah.
You grew up here though.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, it was different in the South. And then, like, I went to all black school, all my teachers were black, my doctors were black, dentists,
Really?
you know, all that, you
We
know. And when I moved here, it's like I became the minority instead of being part of the majority, and which was fine, you know, but you know, it's totally different. Integration really hurt the black community because when they integrated the schools, all the black teachers didn't go to all the white schools. You know, some of them didn't lost jobs, and these are the people who taught our parents.
Taught us.
You know, taught our parents, and you know, some might have taught grandparents. You know, so they knew the families. You know, they knew the culture. You didn't have to
We didn't have
explain
that
things to people.
Didn't have that close.
You know,
like we used to.
and you lost that closeness of family. You know, when it integrated, integration was meant to be equal, not separated. As far as, you know, instead of us getting the used books from the white schools, secondhand books, you know, we need to get new books just like everybody else got new books.
Sure.
You know, and so that was a big difference when integration, you know, that, you know, kind of took the history
of black schools
that these black teachers would teach us about our culture, about our history. You know, that went out the window.
And there was much
through
more
integration, you
much
know.
more to us than just Martin Luther King or
it was
Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all they.
That's all they teach in school.
Yeah.
You know, about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Cypress Addicts. You know, our history is much more than that. You
So
know.
did they, for example, like the Tulsa, Oklahoma thing? Did you guys get? No, nothing.
Yeah.
I
In
did.
the black schools.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I meant.
right.
Did
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
taught that.
Yeah, you never heard it up here.
I never heard about it till I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
God, I love history and I
Yeah.
read a lot of history.
Yeah.
I never heard about it at all till just like
Just recently.
On the-
Yeah.
they brought it
and
up
I'm
on
going
TV.
like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah,
this-
and it's a lot of other black people that didn't know about it. You know, it's just like Juneteenth. You know, people don't know about that, the celebration of Juneteenth. You know, when it took, I forgot how many years for them to get the news that slaves were free in Texas. You know, so you know, we lost a lot of that history.
See, I never that's something that I would have never thought about. So the integration took away your past.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like it was like it wasn't really so it really wasn't a way of getting blacks and whites together. It was a way of saying like, well, you're going to learn all our ways, and
Yeah.
we're going to forget your ways.
And we did. That's what we
Exactly.
did. Because
And
nobody
they
taught
did it. What you
Because
can
nobody
see it,
taught
what
it
they
anymore.
did with the Indians
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
way. You know,
exactly.
with the
Yeah.
Native
Exactly.
Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
taught it
Wow, I
anymore.
never would have. I never
Yeah.
thought of it
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
aspect. Boy, that sucks.
Well, they just
I
had
hate to say
the
it.
news from Canada that, you know, with they had like indigenous state schools, and it was the same principle where they
Yeah.
couldn't speak their native
Right,
language.
exactly.
There was
exactly.
all sorts of atrocities going on with that system, and that just now coming into light.
Yeah.
See, I'm a real firm believer of being able to, wherever you came from or what you did, be able to let the history to tell you need people to know
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going on.
Yeah. American history, African American history is American history. It's not just Black American history. Our history is the history of America. You know, you can't put our history in 1 month. You know,
Yeah.
our history goes back 400 years.
Sure.
You know, or even longer.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, you can't categorize it in 1 month. You know, African American history. We get 1 month to celebrate American history.
Right. Yeah. It kind of seems stupid,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
A little
it really
oxymoron.
does.
Yeah.
It does, but yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did your parents ever tell you stories? I mean, since they were older, I mean, they would have been way back in.
Yeah.
In the
Grandparents and all that shared what they went through and taught us to treat everybody the same, no matter what color. My mother always said,
yeah, we were taught.
treat them with kindness, no matter who. My grandmother worked in white homes, you know, raised white children, you know, cooked their meals, cleaned their houses, you know. They did all of that, you know. And then we got hand-me-downs from, you know, their kids and stuff. But, you know, they taught us all of that. You know, that you know, that's our history. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, and the way to bring about togetherness is doing what you're doing right now. It's to sit down and discuss it.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
When I used to teach classes when I worked at the prison, and we had the cultural diversity classes, the one thing that really stuck out to me was a saying that said, in order to understand the hate in someone else, you have to understand the hate in yourself. You know,
Sure.
in order for you to understand the way I feel
Put yourself
when
in my
you
place.
say something that I think is out of line, is to understand where I came from. You know, and what you just said, what that means to me. You know, you can't tell me, oh, I didn't mean it like that, or well, let me explain to you why you shouldn't say that. You know, to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that she says that, you know, and I'll say those exact words. I didn't mean to say it that way.
Yeah.
Well, this is how it affected me. You know?
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you didn't mean that. This is
Yeah.
how it affected
Yeah.
me. And so I can understand. Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and in our culture, every culture, every family has a storyteller to pass on the history of the family.
Sure.
It's always one. In her family, it was Miss Bessie.
Bessie.
Bessie knew the history of her family.
Everybody.
And I used to sit there and just listen to them. You know, they had a porch swing down in Alabama at her home, you know, in Alabama, and her cousin Miss Bessie would sit on the porch with one of her cousins, Austin, and I'd hear him talking about the family history, her family history, you know, and it just amazed me, you know, when she passed on.
History left. 'Cause
That's a
nobody-
lie.
Nobody did. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, you know, at young kids, it's like, oh, I don't want to hear May
Yeah,
Sue and May
right.
Lou, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go do something else when we should have been sitting listening
Yeah.
to the history of our family. We were all somewhere trying to dance and shoot marbles and playing, and then the history skipped a generation, but we're trying to get it back.
Yeah.
You know, and I said this before. One of the best summers I ever had was 1979 when I got out of college. And I started working at Swartley's greenhouse as a grower. You know, I graduated with horticulture. And the neighbor across the street was a laid-off union carpenter named Chuck White. And Lauren hired Chuck to do some maintenance on the greenhouse, like he wanted some extra stuff done. And
Right.
And after we got done with the busy season, Lauren goes, I want you to help Chuck. And so for about 4 or 6 weeks, you know, I was Chuck's laborer. You know, I would
Yeah.
help him do stuff and that, and got to talk to Chuck. Well, I tell you what, Gordon, it was, and I absorbed every bit of what he said. Chuck was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
Went in when he was 18 years old, was a prisoner of war for 9 months.
Whoa.
Fought in the Battle of the Bulge where he was captured, and he would tell me stories. You know, I just listened. I didn't really talk. Believe it or not, Lisa, I didn't really talk a whole lot. I listened to Chuck's stories, and some of them were sad, some of them were hilarious.
Yeah, right,
you know,
right.
And stuff and that, and we got to be really close and really good friends. Chuck, this deck is a lot bigger than the original deck, but Chuck come over and showed me how to build the deck, and that, and we did things together. And every year at Christmas time, I put a wreath on Chuck's grave because I just, you know, when I turned 50, I don't know if it was just weird. I felt that I had to go over, and Lisa put the video together. She's really good at it. Put a video together of people that influenced me in my life. Chuck was one.
Yeah.
Another one who's not in really good health and took me under his wing for the first landscape job I ever did was Kenny McCaslin. Built this beautiful house out in Hickory Hills, and here's a kid that's 20 years old. Yeah, you know, we'll do the design. Let's put it in. And I worked at his house all summer. I'd work at Swartley's and go at night and work at his house, got to know his family. But I listened to what Kenny used to talk about since he was a business owner.
Right.
You know, he would tell me stories
Right.
and stuff. And so I went back. We were working next to his house. This has been years back. And I told my son, I said, we're done. I said, I'm going to go over here. I want to talk. I saw him sitting in the chair. I go, I want to go talk to him. And I told him, I said, you don't know. I did listen to what you were saying.
Right, right.
I said, you don't know how you influenced me in being a business person by what you were telling me, how you did things and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So, and I've tried to carry that on, and I did it with I think Lisa and some of the other people at the business called them Lefevreisms. And it was Quinn's buddies. And one of the reasons I hired all these high school kids that my son was going to school with, number one, I didn't want to know who he was hanging around with.
Right.
And what was going on. And I thought, young backs, they're football. They're
Yeah, right, right.
they can do this stuff.
Yeah.
And
right.
you know what? Those kids were great kids. It was some of the best times that I ever had working with these young kids. And I would listen, we'd be working, and I'd be hearing these stories like they're talking about a school, and I'd stop and I go, let me tell you something, boy. You better be careful doing stuff like that.
Right.
And I always told them, don't ever do anything that's going to put a permanent mark on your record or on you, because you'll carry that your whole life.
Yeah.
I said, you don't want to be known for anything like that.
Yeah, it puts a mark on your life and your family.
Sure, exactly.
The mistakes that we make in our youth can possibly harm something that happens in the future.
Sure.
Just like you talking to the older guy. My dad was in Korea and last part of World War II in Korea, and one of the things that I've heard that they say about old people says, when an old person dies, a library dies. All that history, all the stuff that they could tell you. I used to love listening to my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and when my dad's sisters and brothers got together, oh man,
The story.
you talk about entertainment. My goodness, when they talk about how they grew up. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. That was you. Oh man, I mean, it's hilarious. But you're learning something about how they grew up. The history. We all lived with my grandmother.
So
when
it's
we
a
were coming up.
multi-generational.
Yeah, family.
It's a big mama in everybody's
Big
background.
mama. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a big mama in every black person's family.
Yeah. Big mama. that the matriarch. Where. Wasn't the granddaddy, so much as the mother, I mean, granddaddy had his part, but,
We had
grandmothers,
one in
Big mama is the one that had the rules, the regulations. He beat your butt when she had to, and that's who did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The disciplinary, that's who it was, Big Mama.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My grandma was that, and then when she passed away, it was my aunt, and when
Yeah.
my aunt passed away,
Yeah.
it
Pass
goes-
down to the next old.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
It hasn't. I mean, I haven't seen. Maybe my cousin Chris has kind of picked it up some, but
Yeah.
everything going all right?
Perfect.
But Lisa's grandma is another one. I used to. She was. Mary was the original Rosie the Riveter. I have her helmet
Oh yeah.
in the garage.
Yeah.
When she passed away, I was like, I don't take things like or want things from any of my relatives or friends or anything like that I could make a lot of money on.
Yeah.
It's been something I remember Mary from, and she had the helmet that she worked in the shipyards in World War II.
Yeah.
In what was it, Portland area?
Yeah. Swan Island.
Swan Island. And Mary have had a real hard
That's nice.
time to seeing, and she wouldn't come out of the house a lot. So when I would pick my vegetables, I'd go over and I'd knock on the door, and I'd immediately sit down on the front steps of the house. It's right across the street, the house, right? And she would come out. I'd make her come out and sit outside.
Yeah.
And then she would talk. She goes, "Oh, you're just like your grandpa." My grandpa died 8 years before I was born, so I never got to know him. My dad died in '71, so my son never got to know him.
Right.
This is the finally the third generation. Me, grandpa,
Yeah.
I got a 3-year-old grandson, and I cherish that because
I know it.
I'm the third generation. I never got to know my grandpa. I hear
Yeah.
stories from Lisa's grandma
Yeah.
about what my grandpa was like and that, and I tell my son stories about my dad, and
Yeah.
things like that, and
Yeah.
I try to do that. But Lisa's grandma was a world book. I mean, she was
She was the story keeper.
yes, and she really had very interesting life, and
Yeah.
and working on the Glad farm, she'd tell stories. The immigrants would come up to cut the Glads that used to be out by Moonlight Bay Marina and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And she'd have to work with them and stuff. They'd live in the trailers there. And
Yeah, yeah.
just in her life, when we took our trips, we went to Seabird, Colorado, where she got a picture of the sod hut, or the sod roofed house that she lived in.
Yeah.
And, barely
She was
survived.
born in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely survived eating birds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the house wasn't there, but we were in the area where it was at.
Right.
And then we
right.
went last year, or 2 years ago. We tried to get to the ship. The shipyard's still there at Swan
Yeah.
Island.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get into it because you had to go through the gate. So it was definitely a high anxiety trip because we usually don't go through big towns, and we were in Port.
Yeah.
It was just a big area, but it was trying to go back to like where grandma was from and stuff like that. I just think it's really.
Yeah, we have a family cemetery in Stanford, Kentucky. On my mother's side, her maiden name was Hayes, and so Isaac Hayes is the leader of our family. Hayes and Smith joined together, so we have a Smith-Hayes reunion, and we have a cemetery in Stanford, Kentucky, where our ancestors, that were in Civil War, goes all the way back to the Civil War,
Wow.
and World War I.
And they keep it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
It's a beautiful place, and so when we have our family reunions in Kentucky, then we try to go to Stanford, see the cemetery and stuff. We make donations, to make sure the grass and stuff is cut and they keep it up and stuff like that. So, that's part of our history too. That when we have our family reunions, we have the older ones come up and set up, and they tell how they grew up, tell the whole story, and that gets hysterical too because they started telling stuff. You say, "Whoa, wait a minute, hold on, you did what? That was your cousin?"
Probably some of them didn't want to hear.
Yeah, you have to say, "Oh, that's a little bit too much." TMI, But
it's history, so you might as well go
yeah,
on and tell
but
it.
it's good to know your history and stuff, and
Well, I didn't get to do it for Memorial Day, but I do want to take Jameson. He's 3, but I want to take him over and show him where his great grandpa's at.
Yeah.
And his great grandma, and then show him where his great grandpa's at and great grandma's at.
Yeah.
And stuff, and just
are they here in?
Yeah, they're over in
Mississippi?
Riverside. Bears,
Oh, okay,
over there.
yeah.
So and to do that, but yeah, it's just I miss the family reunions. We used to have them, and we just haven't had any. I mean, it's been years, but cousins and get to see. And
Yeah.
at Christmas time, at my aunt's house, us cousins were very close when we were growing up. And,
Yeah,
everybody's gone
Right.
away. But at Christmas time, everybody come back, and we get to, even if
Yeah.
it was just that day, we get to see them again and
Yeah.
talk and see what's
Yeah.
going on in their lives. And,
We're supposed to have a Harris Smith reunion here next year
Yeah, next
Next
year we're
June.
gonna have a Smith-Hayes reunion here.
in
Yeah,
Illinois.
In Illinois, they've been wanting to come to Sterling,
Really?
because-
Finally
oh yeah,
coming.
because when we go, we give out prizes and stuff for how many
Who
people
traveling
bring
fires.
the most family members and stuff.
Okay.
And so we've been
make it
winning the
fun.
prize for the last few years. So they say, let us go to Sterling. Say, are you picking up people along the highway and, stuff?
Say that
and
too.
claiming them as your family and stuff, So they're gonna see an extended family. Yeah,
So
if we-
your kids go too. So
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, it was my son's idea to have it in Sterling. He opened his big mouth,
Gordon.
and so they're leading the charge right now.
Well, that's
Get-
all right.
getting
The
their-
youth
well,
has
yeah.
gotta-
Oh yeah.
How
Oh
old
yeah.
is he?
Well,
He's 36.
He 36 now. Yeah, Tasha's 40.
40, almost 45. She did turn
Yeah.
45 her birthday.
Yeah.
That's the one that I knew that worked at Menards. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She turned
yeah.
45 in May
Yeah,
7th.
yeah. So, Tasha's the more techie, so she'll handle all probably the incoming applications and
Letters,
registration and stuff
registrations.
like that. And Gordon is getting the venues and all that set up and stuff. And we'll do some cooking and other stuff. We'll do the older folks, me and her, because we're the oldest.
So-
But the kids are going to handle most of it. And so we got to pass that on to the next generation because we don't want. They need to know who their cousins are.
Sure.
And all those kids are growing up. So, it's time for them to take over because we've lost we just lost another family member. As a matter of fact, his funeral is the 10th of this month in Indianapolis. And he was part of this gospel group called Zion's Joy. And he just passed away, so his funeral. So we lost, 4 or 5 family, our older family members, you know, the one that know the history of the family. We've lost them, well, during the pandemic, we lost a couple, you know, and
Boy, that's
yeah.
Yep, the families are getting smaller. So you said something about food that I'd be interested. So is there stuff that your mom made that you guys still keep going down, like you, Martha? Is there stuff like recipes?
Well, all I can tell you, baby, is I can cook. That's all I can tell you.
I know you.
I can
Stuff
cook.
national. I know that.
Yes, indeed.
I
She
can cook.
She can cook, yeah. You know, when we go out to restaurants, I never order chicken because she cooks the best fried chicken. You know, collard greens, sweet potatoes, you know, okra. You know, one day, you know, she knows I like fried okra. So she fixed me a fried meal with fried green tomatoes, fried okra, fried cabbage, and cornbread.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fried green tomatoes would be interesting. I've never had those. I sell the tomatoes in Chicago, and at the very end of the season, I didn't hardly have any left. And the restaurant goes, they took 120 pounds of green tomatoes,
Yeah.
and made
yeah.
stuff with them.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah. There's a guy up there, I think he's on 4th Street. He's got just tons of tomatoes that he grows every
right
year.
next to the garage.
Yeah,
Right next
yeah.
to the garage.
Yeah, that's where we
I
go.
get my
That's where we go looking
green
for tomatoes.
Yeah. And I take them, you
If you
know.
want tomatoes, just message me. I got 76 planted.
Oh,
really?
wow.
But mine are. If you like normal stuff, then I can give you a few normal things. Mine are all like different colored. and
Oh yeah,
taste very
heirlooms
good.
and all
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Eric
I
kinda
love
keep
them.
us up and stuff.
And hot
Yeah.
peppers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when her garden
Oh, yeah.
started blooming, she
I got
gives us.
115 peppers in.
Oh my.
And I got some.
Wow.
And when I don't know the name of the restaurant that they take my produce to in
Yeah.
Chicago, but the chefs have helpers that are Mexican, and they want Kevin goes, hey, the guys want to know if you got any hot peppers, and so I sent him in a bag of hot peppers all
Yeah.
the time. But last year I had the Reaper, which is the world's hottest, and so I put it in a separate bag, and I said, now you tell these guys they like hot, but I said to be careful with this because
Yeah.
you know it can really be hot, but and then they, to me, it's worth a picture's worth $1 million to me because
Yeah.
those tomatoes, Kevin will take a picture. Look what they did with your stuff, and it makes me feel so
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah.
They
yeah.
showed me like the
Yeah.
rest, and he goes, they sold out tonight, and they showed me the dishes.
Yeah.
And they absolutely loved the tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's what I said.
yeah. Well, my mother used to make vanilla cream pie.
Vanilla cream pie.
Yeah, not coconut cream pie, vanilla cream pie.
Wow,
You know,
I
like a
never heard of
pudding,
Yeah.
but it ain't that instant pudding.
No.
And-
She's on the stove
With the-
stirring,
with the carnation
you know,
milk.
with the condensed
Yeah.
milk, you know, and eggs and all that, and you stir until it gets thick, you know, homemade
It's
crust, you
cream.
know, and then a lot of people don't like meringue, but you know, I don't particularly care for the whip, Cool Whip.
Yeah.
He makes
I
a
rather
pretty
have,
good-
I want the
He
meringue.
makes a pretty good meringue himself.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
He makes
No,
a pretty
no,
good meringue.
no. Cream of tartar is the key in it, you know. But also she used to make because you know whenever mother made a cake or a pie or anything like that, that was a big thing, you know. That was a delicacy.
But
You
we
know,
didn't get it
we
every
didn't
day,
get it
every
all the
week.
time, you know. And so she would make like a pound cake. It wouldn't be a pound. It would be a cake. You know, homemade cakes. It wasn't out of a box.
Sure.
You know, a homemade cake, and then we call it cake and sauce because she'd make this sauce to put over it. You know, a warm sauce,
Yeah.
and you pour it over that cake, and then you put a scoop of ice cream on that cake, and let it melt. Ah, man, you talk about, you know. And then my grandmother, chicken and dumplings and wild greens.
Really.
And,
I can
and
cook, but I can't get the dumplings yet.
hadn't mastered that yet. But then she make pickled beets.
Yeah,
You know.
see, I love pickled beets. My dad used
Yeah.
to put hard-boiled eggs in them.
Yeah.
Pickled beets with them onions and stuff.
And I love beets.
Oh man.
I eat
And
beets any kind of way.
Then homemade chow chow. I never had that until I went down to Alabama.
Now what's that?
It's like a relish.
like
It's
a
like a
relish.
pickled relish,
Okay.
you know. And her grandmother was one that turned me on to potato pie. And I'm thinking to myself, potato pie? I wasn't thinking sweet potato. Thinking potato, a white potato and a pie, that don't even sound good. So we were down in Alabama visiting, and she made me a couple of potato pies to take back, you know, bring back with me. And every time we stopped, I'd eat a piece of that pie. I don't know if a whole pie made
I
it
don't
back
think it made it back.
to Illinois from Alabama, you know.
And not too
But-
much
but-
sauce meat made it
yeah,
back here either.
Yeah, and sauce meat is another thing down in the South, you know, that they make. But, you know, my mother, you know, a lot of people don't like liver and onions.
Oh, I love it.
I do. I like
I love
And
it.
everybody can't cook liver and onions.
You're correct.
Yeah, you know, and I didn't like it when I was younger, but as I got older, my taste changed. And she'd make that liver and onions. Oh
With
man.
fried potatoes.
Oh, she either fried potatoes or mashed potatoes,
Oh,
hot biscuits, homemade biscuits,
yeah.
you know, and
The way my grandma was, everything, the chocolate cakes were all by hand.
oh yeah,
And
oh
the
yeah,
frosting was all by and
all
oh
by
my
hand.
God,
Yeah.
Were they
yeah.
good?
Yeah.
But they were the liver and onions. I never, you know, most kids when you're kids, I
Yeah.
remember my mom doing it and going, "There's liver and onions," and I loved it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it was cooked a certain way. They had the restaurant. I did a video earlier this week. I was downtown Sterling, and I go down at like 5 in the morning to spray the weeds and
Yeah.
because we take care of it. Well, the books, beans and beliefs that the place that's down there in
Yeah.
between. If you open the door, and the door was unlocked, so I opened the door, and you look at the floor, it says the Green Lantern. That was my grandma's restaurant.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's where, you know, all our family, and that's where I got my love for cooking and doing
Yeah.
things and baking and stuff. But she would make the stuff, and I mean, I tell you what. So when my cousin used to come home, nobody would eat it. You know,
Yeah.
my cousin would come home from Oklahoma. He'd go over to my aunt's house, and I told her, I go, I'll get the liver, and she goes, all right, because Carl and I, all cousins, we love the liver.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I get the liver and that, and she'd call me and goes, all right, we're eating liver and onions tomorrow night. And we go over there, and man, you know, it isn't the healthiest food. Oh, man, I tell you what, that is really good.
It is good.
Yeah,
eating.
my dad worked in the packing house in Kentucky, and that's what really brought us up here. He worked with Armour Meatpacking Company,
Sure.
and Armour used to be out there in Galt.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
so that's what brought us here. But in Lexington, you know, they used to slaughter sheep, and he'd bring lamb fries. You know, they have the testicle festival up
Yeah.
there, and they'd bring the lamb fries.
Where they
yeah,
have that at?
yeah, huh?
Where they have that at?
The turkey
Oh, up in
festival
Oregon,
in Oregon.
in
They
Oregon.
always
They
had
have it every
oh,
year.
thousands of people.
Oh,
Martha,
people come
would
from
go-
everywhere. up there.
Everywhere. Mike
Yeah.
King from
Yeah.
Nashville. Remember Mike King?
Yeah,
Oh, he would always go there.
yeah.
Not me. Couldn't catch me. Dude. Ain't happening.
Yeah, but them lamb fries, you know, the way my mother cooked them, almost taste like fish. You know, she batter them in cornmeal, salt and pepper cornmeal, and fry those babies. Oh man, but that was a delicacy too, you know, because those were hard to find.
Wow.
You know, but yeah, that's what brought us to
It's almost like
to
our chitlins
Illinois.
we eat, huh?
You know, we had never, chitlins.
Almost
Oh,
like our
chitlins. There's
chitlins.
another one. You ever eat them?
No.
Hog intestines?
No.
Oh man, what a delicacy. We have to give you some when we have to show you how to eat them though. little hot sauce and little vinegar maybe,
See, I like hot sauce.
and you
I
put
like-
some of that little chow chow on it too.
Oh yeah. See,
Yeah,
now,
man.
I think I've seen chow chow before. Can they make it hot?
Yeah, it's
Oh
almost
yeah,
like
all
pickle
kind of flavors,
Yeah.
mild, and you know.
Yeah, they have
yeah,
hot
yeah.
spice.
You go down through the south, through Tennessee, Kentucky, you see them in
all
in
them,
in
all them gas stations.
gas
got-
stations, you know, all
Put it
through
on
the
your hot
stores,
dogs,
in every
probably. They-
store,
I don't want on my hot dog. It's too hot.
and all
I like-
chili dogs. Chili dogs is a staple, you know. That in Kentucky, everybody's got a chili dog recipe.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I make my own chili dog sauce.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's-
They're doing basketball season.
Yeah.
When I'm in my Kentucky room, my little man cave, chili dogs, and maybe popcorn or something like that. You know, that's what I'm chowing down on. You know, if you come in there, that's what you're gonna get, some chili dogs.
That's all right.
Yeah, yeah, watching basketball
I come
games.
in and watch basketball to eat chili
Yeah.
dogs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But everybody in Kentucky's got their own little
And
recipe.
see, they
for
like
dogs.
chili dogs. In Alabama, you get slaw dogs.
Yeah.
You put slaw on the top of a hot dog.
Well, you know what? You talk about slaw. When my mom used to work at Clucky's, when it was right over
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and I would go in, and on Wednesdays and on they had a barbecue special. You could get a and they always put
Coleslaw on the hot dog.
barbecue. And I never.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Barbecue too. That's what
oh
we
man.
do down
Yeah.
south.
Barbecue
It's the
sandwich
best
down
barbecue
there.
sandwich you ever want to eat.
Yeah.
And I always liked it. I go, wow,
Yeah.
that's weird. Why are they putting
Coleslaw on
cabbage
it?
and
Yeah,
coleslaw
yeah.
on
Yeah.
top of that?
Oh yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
they always did that.
Yeah.
We're famous for that in Alabama
Yeah.
too.
I never knew what a slaw dog was until they introduced to it in Alabama.
So they would do a chili dog and then put slaw on it?
No.
Just
no.
straight
No,
slaw?
Just
slaw
do slaw
dog
dog.
is Alabama.
Slaw
Chili
dog.
dog is Kentucky.
Yeah.
So what's
know.
on a slaw dog?
Nothing but the weenie and a whole bunch of slaw.
Slaw and mustard, if you want to put mustard
Mustard
on this
on it.
stuff. But that coleslaw that Bunyan's makes down there in Alabama, it's a barbecue place.
Yeah.
Bunyan's,
Yeah. He
But,
got his own signal
he
on
got
that.
his own signature
on that
slaw.
Yep.
And you put mustard on your hot dog and put the slaw on that and
And everybody's house you go to in Alabama probably got some slaw in the house.
yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They're gonna offer you some sauce meat or a slaw dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They when we go on vacation, we take the van and we camp in that. And
Yeah.
every once in a while we'll go if we're depending on what national park or what park we're at, they might not have showers, so
Yeah.
3 or 4 days, and we go we find these, we call them dewdrops to go and just stay over. And I told her, and we eat out of the van. And I told her we were on what's the island in Washington? Whidbey Island. And I told her, I said, I don't know about you, but I want a freaking big burger. We pulled into this town, and I drove by, and I saw this truck out in this parking lot, and there was a line, and it said Bubba's Burgers.
Whoa.
And I said, I don't know about you, but when we find the hotel room, I'm going back there.
Going to Bubba, huh? Going to Bubba.
So we went to the hotel, and the girl was really cool at the hotel. And I said, what's the deal with Bubba Burgers? She goes, oh, today's their last day. Everybody's sad. And I go, what do you mean the last day? She goes, well, the season's ending. We go in like October on vacation, so the season's ending.
Oh.
So they're shutting down for the seasons. Well, I tell you what, you talk about these 3 women in a confined area whipping a sandwich out and not running into each other and that. It was like a
Poetry
music.
emotion.
It was
Yeah.
orchestra.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch these women, and you talk about a good burger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I tell you what, I was in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
That burger was a great burger, man.
Yeah.
I'll go back to Bubba's Burgers.
Bubba remind me of Forrest Grump when they got the
Yep.
shrimp. What is it? Shrimp this, shrimp that, whatever you want. Shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was what was it, Captain?
Major Dane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great show.
It was.
But yeah, that's my mother just was a great cook. My grandmother, she
Same with us.
she could cook anything.
Our whole family. I mean,
Yeah.
the restaurants. That's my
Yeah.
grandma owned 2 restaurants, and
Yeah.
my aunt and when I was doing the video at the Green Lantern, my mom was young. Was a
Yeah.
waitress there, and kitty corner where Phil Maddox's insurance is at. Do you ever remember Don Darrell's?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Man,
Right.
the candy store, the
Yep.
toy shop. Yeah.
Anyway, right next to there is Phil Maddox's insurance. Well,
Yeah.
if you go down in the basement, you'll see my dad's flower cooler, because that's where my dad and uncle's flower shop was that they
okay.
had. So they would have their flower shop while you wanted to eat lunch. Well, you went across to the Green Lantern to eat, and he met my mom, and lo and behold, they got married.
Yeah. Don Darrell's, they had toys and stuff in there too, right?
Not
Or
too
is that-
much. It was a soda fountain.
Oh, okay. That was across from the beauty shop.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of that
Yeah,
place.
the best
that place.
cherry
with-
Cokes or suicide.
Oh,
you could ever have.
suicide. When I first came to Sterling, my buddies took me, Gilbert Vasquez, and I can't remember who else was with us. And they said, come on down here. We're going to get you a suicide. Suicide?
Yeah.
I'm coming from Kentucky, and you talking about giving me a drink, a suicide drink? What's wrong with that picture? But yeah, man, that
Don,
was
man,
good.
He would make those, or the cherry Cokes, and he'd do the I love that place. Gosh,
We had
my neighbor would take me all the time.
Yeah.
Over there.
We had a place in Kentucky called Palmer's. It was he was a pharmacist, and it had a soda fountain. All places had soda fountains,
Sure.
you know. And in the pharmacy, you know, it was a soda fountain there.
Exactly.
And he would let you get a free cherry Coke if you could say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? If you could say that, which we couldn't, we could get a free Coke. So now that I can say it, you know, he's gone. That's gone. You know,
Coke's gone.
but that's where I used to take my girlfriends. You know, I'd get them a cherry Coke and a nickel bag of knick-knack potato chips.
Mark,
Coming
did
up.
you ever get
I
any of
wasn't
that?
No,
there.
that was when
I
I was a
wasn't there.
kid. This would be way before.
I
now.
wasn't
You know,
there.
Yeah, I was in
So
Kentucky.
he never bought you a cherry Coke?
He probably will, but I wasn't in that era.
No, that was back when I was growing up.
was growing
you
up.
know,
I'm in
the-
Alabama.
The history of my, you know, growing up in Kentucky, you know, we had our own everything, and you know that's where you went, you know, a cherry Coke, man. If I had 35 cents, hey, go ahead and get you another Coke. you know, you know, but you know, I grew up in the projects. You know, after we moved from my grandparents' house, you know, we moved to the projects, and then from there, you know, they rented houses, different. You know, we was moved out of the projects. Then we moved to Maryland Avenue, and then Maple Avenue, then Elm Tree Lane, and I think from Elm Tree Lane to Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah,
And when you came to Illinois, what year?
64, April the 12th, 1964. Because April the 13th, I was standing on the corner by Woolworths, and the wind about blew me off the curb. I almost got hit.
Where are we standing? In Kentucky or here?
Huh?
Where are you standing in Woodworth at?
Woodworth was here in Sterling.
here in
at the time,
Sterling.
When I first
Oh,
moved
here
here in
downtown.
1964.
Yeah.
And
Way
Scott's-
before you and I.
Yeah.
Scott's store was down there too.
Yeah, Scott's and Woolworths. Yeah. Well, Scott's is
Oh,
where the courthouse is.
Woodworth was in the
Oh,
mall
no,
when I
Woodworth.
came here.
Scott's is on the corner there of Locust and where
Okay,
the
yeah,
computer
right.
place used
Okay, yeah, right, yeah. So, you know, that's when I heard about this wind up in Illinois. You know, they talk about that Chicago wind and stuff. About blew me off the corner, almost got hit by a car, you know, up there, standing there. But in 1964 is when we came here. And the 13th, when we went downtown, they used to call it, say, we're going uptown. You know, we always call, when you're going downtown, you go downtown. But here, they say uptown, you know. So, you know, we used to walk around, you know, just keep circling the block, you know, on Monday nights. That's where everybody went, uptown here in Sterling. You know, but yeah, we came here in 64. And, you know, my dad, you know,
And then when
transferred.
you went to barber school after that, and then
After high school, I went back to Kentucky. You know, I was going to look for a job, and and then I got a job with the city as a garbage collector. And back then, when you collected garbage, they didn't have these, what they call them Herbie Kirby's. You know, they didn't have these bins that you got now.
Yeah.
They had those big wash tubs, and you had to, you know, you go in behind people's houses and dump the garbage into that tub, and then you would balance the tub on your head and carry it out to the truck and dump it in the truck.
The garbage?
Yeah, yeah. But you know, it goes back to our African heritage, I believe, because these guys, my dad did it for a while. They take these hats, little short brim hats, and they cut off the brim of the hat, you know, and they pack that inside of that hat, put it on their head, so when they put that tub on top of their heads,
Patty.
they could balance a full tub walking. It was like an orchestra. I mean they could walk with them tubs on their head, not holding it, you know, just balancing on their head, you know, strong necks and everything. And so I'm just out of high school. I think I'm probably 115, 120 soaking wet. And I'm trying to, you know, my cousin and I, Gary, went down to the city to put an application in to see if we could get a job. Of course, we lied about our age because you had to be a certain age to get a job. And so they took him to the trash truck, took me to one of the garbage trucks. And so they gave me a tub, you know, and I took that tub and that, you know, and I had it here. I could barely move that thing, you know. And then that night after work, I was staying with my grandmother. I was in the bathtub, and my whole body locked up, just cramped. You know, I couldn't move. And so my mother calls me, I think the next day or so, and says, client's department store called and wanted to know if you wanted a job. And so I left Kentucky and came back to Sterling to work at client's department store in the shipping and receiving department. So.
Wow.
And that was better than walking with that tub on your head.
I needed to get some more muscles and grow a little bit before I could do what they did, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, but you know, it was just one of those things.
So, talk about what happened. Has it been 5 years since you had your transplant?
It'd be 4 years in September.
So what happened? I mean, what brought on?
Well, I got diagnosed, I think it was 2003, with an enlarged heart. One night I was getting ready to go to bed, got ready to lay down, and it felt like I couldn't breathe. And the only way I could sleep was to, you know, prop up. And so I said, I gotta go to the doctor. Now I went to the doctor, Dr. Caceres at the time is at KSB. And he said, well, what brings you in? And I told him my symptoms. And he said, wait a minute, send you to get an x-ray. Found out I had an enlarged heart. Now I was working at the prison at the time. And so, you know, they started giving me all kind of medications, and I was going to Peoria. They had me on a transplant list then. That's when they were doing transplants in Peoria at, I can't think of the hospital right now. But anyway, I was going back to see the, you know, cardiologist there, and as I was taking the medication, my heart seemed to get a little bit better. But shortly after I retired, I was started having problems with my heart again. And so I ended up getting a pacemaker. And, you know, so I had a pacemaker for probably maybe a year or so. And then, you know, my heart was, you know, getting weaker and weaker. And so I went to University of Chicago to get an ablation. They and when that happened, they lost me on the table. Yeah, they lost me on the table. They didn't know anything about it. My wife and my son, Gordon Jr., were, you know, waiting in the waiting room for me because this surgery wasn't supposed to take that long.
An hour.
Yeah.
We was in there past 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and they wasn't telling them anything. And so they were waiting and talking to one another and asking people, you know, what's going on. Nobody was giving them any information. Then all of a sudden, this is the story they tell me because I don't know all this stuff. You know, I just found this out. And they said they had one of those cold blues or something like that. And she says to my son, I hope that's not your dad. And just so happens, it was me. And so I don't know what happened.
They sent for a specialist, and he came in and said I was called in. And I told Gordon, I said, I hope that's not for your dad. But then they kept working on him until about midnight, a little after midnight. They finally brought him to a room at La Ola.
No. University of Chicago.
University of Chicago. And that's when we first saw you. You were out for a whole week then, so.
Yeah, we went in on a Wednesday, and when I woke up, it was Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing, what had happened is, when they were done with the ablation, when they was coming out, they cut an artery, and so that's why they called in the specialist. But they didn't know that they had lost me on the table. The only way they found out is my son, when he was reading the paperwork and he read it on there, it said they lost him on the table. It was in the paperwork. They never told them anything.
Wow.
You know, and so as you know, things went on. After I left there, I came back for I think one visit with the doctor. You know, he was asking me how I was doing. I said, I don't feel any different. No, I'm not any better.
I don't remember who told you to go to La Ola. How did
Yeah,
we get that from the
can't remember how we
University
got to
University
Loyola.
of Chicago to Loyola?
I don't know if my chronology's up there. I don't remember.
But somebody
that,
sent us to Loyola.
to Loyola, and I was talking to the doctors there and told him what had happened in University of Chicago, and this is the first time I ever heard a doctor say anything like that. They messed you up, and so from then on, I stayed at Loyola. I'm not in the hospital, but I
Under
dealt
their
with
care.
Loyola under their care, and I ended up getting a PIC line. I had like an IV in my arm, and I had this battery pack on, and it was pumping this medication
Keeping
through the
them alive.
IV that was
Keeping them
pumping
alive.
to my heart to help my heart function, and that was in May of 2015, and so I had that PIC line from May until September, that was helping keep me alive. I had to
Change it, clean it,
change
and everything.
the batteries in the battery pack all the time. They were showing me how to do this. Had to get the bandage changed every once in
And
a
then
while.
that ate up your arm
And then my arm all of a sudden just started looking like oatmeal.
from the bandage.
Yeah, from that PIC line, and the medication was seeping out and was irritating my arm. You can't see it. It's a little darker there. It looked like oatmeal, And I told him, I said, you're gonna have to put a PIC line over in this arm. If you can't get it in this arm, I'm not letting you do it again here. I mean, I should have showed pictures of that, but anyway, I went to Loyola. They said, yeah, we can do that. We can put a PIC line over on that side. And then one day, it was one Sunday in September, the 4th.
After the 4th, wasn't it?
Where it was Labor Day weekend. It was Labor Day weekend that weekend in 2015. I got a call. I was watching a football game. I can't remember if I was watching the Bears or who it was. And I get a call, and the nurse says, Mr. Harris? I said, yes. He said, this is the nurse, she called her name, from Loyola. We have a heart for you. And of course, I'm like, I'm just stunned. Because I didn't, they told me, it might be 6 months, a year, or it could be longer before you get a heart. And so when I finally come to myself, I said, okay.
How much? What?
I called my wife in there and said, they say they got a heart for me. And they said, I said, well, how much time do I have, make up my mind? They said about 5 minutes. Yeah, well, first she said, well, do you want to talk to the doctor? Because I guess she knew I was stunned. I didn't know really what to say. And so my doctor gets on the line and said, Mr. Harris, I think this is the perfect heart for you. And he told me only a little bit, about the heart. And so I looked at her and I said, well, what do you think? And she said,
I can't tell you. That's your body. You got to make that decision for yourself.
Yeah. So I said, okay, what do I do? They said, well, you need to come up to Loyola to the emergency room. They said, take your time.
We know how long it takes.
Don't rush. We know how far you are. So my
Be here by
wife, my
midnight.
daughter, and my granddaughter, Alasia, I couldn't drive. My daughter had to drive. I sat in the back seat with my granddaughter.
And Gordon and them couldn't drive because they've been drinking all day. So
yeah,
hey.
because Labor Day, my other two boys, they've been partying, Labor Day and stuff. And so one thing I did before that, I said, I'm gonna go ahead and cook this meat so that I can, be with the family. I'm not at the grill all day on Labor Day, So I cooked it, that Sunday, and so they drove me up there to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they got me all checked in, and then I was in ICU there and just waiting.
They were supposed to have done it at midnight, but something happened till they moved it to 4 a.m.
Yeah, well, they kept saying, well, even that though you're here, they have to check the heart, make sure everything lines up, because people are ahead of me, but their tests didn't line up to match this heart,
Right.
And so they had to go through all these different tests. They came in, and while I was waiting there, one thing that I'll make a little humor of this too, but I was in the room, so it was about 4 women came in to clean me up. So they was taking my clothes off and washing me down and stuff, and I'm thinking, wow, in my younger days, this would have been great. But anyway, this get me prepared for the surgery and stuff, and of course, time went on, and I had a little video that I made that night before the surgery. I was sitting there and saying, well, I'm here. I'm just waiting on this surgery. I said I might look a little tired and distressed, but really I'm not, because I think my butt has gotten flat from just laying in this bed. And I gave instructions. I said, if anything happens, I want you to put my Kentucky blue blazer on, my Kentucky tie, and my white pants on, because I'm a Kentucky fan.
Sure.
I had my clothes laid out in my closet because you didn't know.
Sure.
And I said, I'm not worried because it's in God's hand.
Sure.
My faith is what kept me, at one point when I was going through this, when I had to pick line and everything, and I would look in the mirror and I could see my dad, how before he passed away, he was a strong man, and he just got thinner and thinner. And when I looked in the mirror, that's what I saw. And I look in the mirror and I say, I didn't think I was gonna go out like this. But that was a low point in my life where my faith was tested. And so I said, well, it's in God's hand, and thankfully everything worked out. I ended up getting this young girl's heart. Her name was Peyton Edwards. Her mother's Kathy and Michael Edwards. Mm-hmm. And their daughter had been in a car accident. She was at her boyfriend's house, mm-hmm. and she was leaving his house to go home to get dressed to go to work. Mm-hmm. And her mother told me she was either reading a text or texting, and she rolled her car. And so, I ended up getting her heart. And it took me, I don't know how many months until I got to the point where, they give you all this information, say you can, they don't tell you where the heart came from, the family, anything, but after the surgery and, they give you, and the surgery was on September the 5th, 2017. And came out of the hospital, I think, on the 15th of September. Everything they told me to do, I did, because I got a second chance.
Sure.
And, when I came home, they give you all the paperwork, how to, take care of yourself and what to do and all that. And then they also give you information that says, if you want to write a letter to the family, you can write a letter, and it gives you different things to say and not to say, just tell them about yourself, about your family and all that. And so I wrote a letter to the family, told them about who I was and I was a veteran, a Vietnam veteran, and told them about named all my grandkids and my kids.
But they have a go-between person that's working with you.
Sure. Yeah, Gift of Hope. Mm-hmm. We go through that program. And so I wrote the letter, and they review the letter, and then they send a letter to the family. Mm-hmm. And they tell you, some families might want to meet you and others may not. Mm-hmm. It might be too hard for them
Sure.
to do that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And so after they sent a letter to Kathy and Michael, I don't think it was couple weeks or it might have been a month before they got back to me and said that the family wanted to meet me. You know, and of course, right then I'm scared. You know, you don't know what you're gonna say when you meet them, and you know, I mean, you know, so I met the father first, and the first thing he did when he met me was put his head down on my chest.
Oh, wow.
And of course, doing that I met the father and an aunt and an uncle, and then I had my wife and my daughter and two of my granddaughters, and my son
and
Gordon was with us, right? And so we met them, and of course, me and the father probably used up a box of Kleenex. You know, they were telling me about Peyton, and they brought me pictures of Peyton. I should have brought it with me.
You don't have that one picture on your phone?
I probably couldn't find it that quick, but anyway, I got her picture that they gave me in my bedroom. So when I wake up every morning, because in the letter I told them, I said, I thanked them for the gift, and I promised them that I would do everything in my power to take care of this precious gift that they gave me. So every morning when I wake up, I look at her picture, and it gets me going, you know, to get up and move and do something. You know, I've always been active anyway.
Sure.
You know, riding my bicycle or playing ball or something. You know, I've been playing pickleball now, and you know, just doing something, lifting some weights. You know, and so I look at that picture every morning. You know, it reminds me of the promise that I made to them. You know, to take care of what they gave me.
Sure.
You know, and then later on, I met the mother and the grandmother and some cousins and stuff like that. Met them. You know, as a matter of fact, they're having a Play It Forward benefit on the 12th, but I'm not gonna be able to make that, you know, but I hope to make it down there for her birthday, which is in September, and so you know, that's how the story goes. You
Wow.
know, that's how it all happened. You know, and I'm thankful every day that God placed them in my life.
Exactly.
You know, because I wouldn't have been here if He hadn't have placed them in my life. You know, and it's a wonderful family. You know, so
And I always think sometimes that some of the things that happen, there's a reason.
oh yeah,
And sometimes, you know, gosh, I can't think of incidents that, well, there's a reason I was supposed to be here, or the reason. Well, what I thought about today was a friend of mine, and Lisa and I were going to, she was going to do, was it Sydney's dissertation? Art. Lisa's an artist, so Sydney was an artist up at the Milwaukee School of Art, I think it was, and she asked Lisa to come up and talk for her, you know, to do her dissertation. So we left and it was rainy, and right outside of Oregon, we were driving in this, I remember it was a boat. It was a big car, like a Delta 88 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it whipped around us, and I thought, you know, it was an older car, and I thought,
Right.
man, that old man's freaking flying in that car. It's pretty wet.
yeah,
Well, we got up around the curb, and Lisa goes, there's the car, and it was almost in the river, but the only thing that stopped it was a tree. There was a guy stopped, so I pulled over, and, you know, National trained me in one aspect, you know, the first responders. I got out, and I remember the guy going, oh man, he said, I was coming around the corner and that car slid and hit the tree. And I said, why have you gone out there? No. And I said, well, and I looked at her, I go, I'm going out there. And the guy goes, don't go out there. And I go, well, the car's running. I go, I'm going out there.
yeah,
So I went to the driver's door. I couldn't get it open. I went to the passenger door, and the window was blown out. And I shut the car off, and then I reached, and the boy was laying across the girl's lap, kind of, and I tried for a pull, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
and and it was raining out, and I told Lisa, and a fireman came, and so he crawled because the girl woke up.
Yeah.
So he crawled in the back window, was holding her head, and I was holding her arm, her hand, and telling her just calm down.
Yeah.
She wanted to get him off her, and I said we can't move him. And the ambulances came and they pried the door open and they go, the kid, there's no. I go, I didn't get one either. So he was dead, and I was upset. So we left, and we had to go up to Milwaukee. We were all muddy, and so we had to stop in Rockford and buy some clothes,
Yeah.
So we bought some clothes, and we got up to the hotel where we were at, and I remember telling Lisa, I go, I'm going to call my brother, because I go, Kayla's a nurse. My sister-in-law is a nurse in Rockford, and I said, I'm sure they took her there, and I go, I would like to know what happened. And
Right.
so I told my brother that, and he goes, well, let me see what she can find out. Well, it was about a half hour later, my brother calls and goes, where was the accident at? And I go, right outside of Oregon. He goes, that was Kayla's nephew. And I go, Kayla's nephew? I go, who? And he goes, that was Christy's boy, Robbie. I go, Robbie Tate? I hadn't seen him since he's a little boy.
Yeah.
But, and then it really freaked me out. I was really upset. And I remember going to her house, and I just hugged her, and I said I couldn't do anything for him.
Yeah.
And she was so happy that he died with somebody that
It
knew him.
Yeah.
And she always says that to me. She just posted. She was, I was so glad that you were there, and it's stuff like that. I guess made to happen or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with you, with your heart, that's what it was. You were made to stick around here, Gordon.
It's something he wants me to do, and I don't know what it is, but I'm just, doing his will. I hope, and I hope I'm making the family feel good about the decision that they made. Because can you imagine the decision that they have to make, a quick decision, to save somebody else? And they not only saved me, I think they saved 5 other people that they donated organs to. And I don't know if those people had contacted them or not, but I would implore them to do that. Anybody, because you never know. It might be something that helps them, help comfort them.
Sure.
You never get over grief.
No. Oh,
I know that stays with you the rest of your life.
But it
but it might help comfort them to know that, their loved one lives on, through somebody, and that, it's maybe a decent person, that because, I wrote in my letter, I told the ages of my granddaughters and stuff, and I just had a new granddaughter, the youngest one, and I wanted to see her grow up. I didn't think I would ever be able to do that.
Yeah.
But because of them, I'm able to watch her. I'm pick her up from school and go to McDonald's and go to the park, and eat lunch in the park and stuff. And I never thought I was going to be able to do that. I thought it was over, but because of my faith, it ain't over till God says it's over.
Yep.
And I believe that. And you were talking about earlier about the older man that lived next door.
Yep.
And you be out working in the yard. It used to kill me to see my neighbors out cutting the grass, and I had to hire somebody to do my grass because I was too weak to do it myself.
Sure, and that's the way Ernie felt.
Yeah, and Scotty, my next door neighbor, he took a picture of me the first day I cut my grass. I had my mask on, and I was just so happy to be out there because I love, making my yard look nice.
Sure.
And cutting the grass and, doing the stuff outside, like she says, the outside is yours, the inside is mine, So, and, just the little small things that you realize that, it might be trivial to somebody else, but to me that was important, like the older guy couldn't do it anymore, and I couldn't do it anymore. And that was killing me, not being able. And then, after the heart transplant, I couldn't even drive myself. I had to sit in the back seat of my own car. Because they said, if I had an accident, you know, and you know, hit my chest, bust my chest open, you know, I asked him, I said, well, when can I ride my bicycle? Oh, no, don't ride your bicycle, because if you fall, you know, because, you know, my chest is wired up and stuff. You have, all that has to heal, you know. But, you know, I was anxious to get back at it,
Right,
you know.
sure.
When you lose something like that, your
You
ability
cherish
to, you cherish that,
Sure.
the things that are important. So, you know, I'm a blessed man. You looking at a miracle, you know.
So do you have to take public medication?
I
and stuff?
I take anti-rejection meds, and I'll take them for the rest of my life.
Right.
You know, and that's why the COVID vaccine. You know, I just talked to my, like I was telling you earlier, I talked to my doctor yesterday, had an appointment with him, and you know, Loyola and Johns Hopkins, you know, they do studies on transplant patients and stuff, how the vaccine affects them, and he said I may not have an immunity because of all the different drugs I take. You know, I started out taking
45
45,
Oh, you're kidding.
45 pills a day.
a day.
How the hell did you remember?
He had a list. He had a list.
I had a list I had to go by. When they were showing me how to put this medication together, I said, I'll never figure this out. They say, oh, you'll get it. You know, now, it used to take me about an hour and a half to, you know, look at the bottle, look at the list, and see, well, how many do I put in here? And you know?
We had two pill bottles at the
And now
time.
it takes me about 15 minutes, you know, or less. You know, I'm down to,
12.
I say I do 12 in the morning and 10 at night. From
It's still
45.
a lot from 45.
You know,
That's,
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. So
And you're able to mow your yard.
I'm able to mow my yard and edge my yard, do my snow, and you know,
it wouldn't have bothered me if I couldn't edge, because I'd called
gommers.
a couple of times. I
Yeah,
called them like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
throw us on your
Yeah,
list
good.
when you come
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
they good. You know, I had my sons cut my grass, but they didn't cut it like, you know.
I know how it is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they were messing up just so I would cut it myself. You know, 'cause
And when Gordon go to Kentucky and stay 2 weeks, I'll put him on the list, call Garmer, and tell him come cut this grass, because I ain't cutting it.
her asthma, she couldn't be out there anyway. You know, but yeah, that's you know, that's a story, and you know, the story continues.
Yep.
You know, forever, how long God wants me to do whatever He wants me to do.
Well, we're glad it continues.
Yeah. Yeah, when people say, good to see you, I say it's good to be seen.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really know you a lot, but I knew her.
Yeah,
And I absolutely loved Martha.
Yeah.
That's what I miss at National. Is
Yeah.
The people, yeah.
Yep.
Me
Yeah.
too.
That's what I miss about
And of course,
the meal.
Vicky still calls me for everything. Anybody dies, she just first, Martha Gail, what you doing?
I see her over here.
I know.
And she looks the same. She's
She
got a
does.
few more wrinkles on
Yeah,
her.
she does.
yeah,
She
yeah.
does.
And I worked with her. Well, you were there when I was college help.
Yeah,
Yeah, when all the college kids came over, we were there.
yeah. Our son worked there for a while. Did
Jermaine,
Tasha work? Did Jermaine work there too?
Tasha,
Oh, yeah,
Gordon.
all three of them. That was a family thing, you know.
Mine was too. My
Yeah.
grandfather was
Yeah.
in the first crew in 1902.
yeah, got him in there and let him feel that heat. And say, you don't want to work in here for 30 years.
Yeah, get an education.
Exactly.
Get an education.
Let them know what
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
want. This is
yeah.
what,
Right,
you know.
I
yeah.
had that experience.
Yeah, detasseling and all that
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
It was
That's
good
what I-
money,
yeah.
and waking them up to come in there at 6 o'clock with me was a bummer. Get up, Gordon. I ain't be late fooling with you.
Well, I use that all the time. You know, one of the kids was late one time. Quinn, my son, was late, and you know how it was at National. And so he comes and I was just ripping on him. He goes, "Well, Josh, he was late. He wasn't awake in that." I go, "Leave him. That's his fault." I go, "That's not your fault. He
Yeah.
got you in trouble."
Yeah,
So-
right.
Yeah.
And then Josh goes, "Well, my alarm." I go, "Alarm clock's not an excuse." I
No.
I go, "You know, if you worked at National, this is what would happen."
Yeah.
And I use that excuse all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
and
Right.
And
they
then
were
Gordon
never
used to
late.
sit in the truck. He wouldn't come in when I get out. We get there about 5:30. You know, I got to be first in line.
Well,
to get punched in.
I know,
I go, you
Martha.
better not be late. You better come on there before 6 o'clock. You better not fall asleep out here. I'm coming, Mom. I'm getting out in a little while.
I was always early too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a
Yeah.
parking place. I wanted to go in and talk if I had to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, we could
yeah.
still smoke in the building then. So,
Yeah.
you know, me and Nellie and Vicky
God.
and Paula.
Is Nellie?
She
still-
passed
She
away.
passed away.
She-
Yeah,
Yeah.
she passed away.
Boy, she was a pistol.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was.
She was a pistol.
She had a cancer, a tumor on her brain or something.
Oh really? Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I miss the people a lot.
Yeah.
That's what you miss about jobs, you know. I missed all those guys at the meal because you used to have a good time, and you really didn't know, some guys didn't even know their real name. Everybody had a nickname.
I nickname everybody.
Yeah, yeah. My
My-
brother had
my-
a way of doing that too.
My grandson is Mr. Wiggles.
Oh yeah.
He goes, when he gets older, what are you going to call him? I go,
Mr.
Wiggles.
Wiggles.
I go, and I always told Quinn's bigger than me, and I always told him, I go, you're always going to be my little boy.
Yeah,
And
right,
what-
right,
And I
exactly.
call him I always called him Cheese.
Yeah.
And I still call him Cheese all the time.
Yeah, well, she still calls our youngest Jermaine. He's the biggest of the boys. He's the youngest, but he's the biggest. She said, "Hey, my baby boy." She still calls him baby boy. Yeah.
They always.
Mama's baby.
And they're always.
Yeah, here Mama's baby. She calls him
Nothing wrong
Mama's
with that.
baby.
And I don't care if somebody
Yeah.
makes
I don't care how old you get, you still Mama's and Daddy's baby.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, this was great. I'm glad that you were able to do this and
Finally got it done.
yeah, exactly. Third time's a charm.
Yep.
They say
I was
three's
hoping,
a
I told
charm.
Lisa, I go, it's gonna be nice. I hope Gordon can do this. I
Yeah,
hope Gordon
yeah,
can do this.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But it was-
So
I'm honored to do it. Yeah, yeah. So.
well, I guess is John there yet, or?
Oh, you just queued him up. I'm sure he'll pop up his closing remarks. There are lots of really lovely comments. Most recent, there's several, but Linda Sue Brown says, Gordon, that's an extraordinary story. Very special night with you both.
Well, thank everyone.
Yep.
You know, I hope my story helps somebody else.
Exactly. That's the
know,
whole
yeah,
idea about.
yeah.
Guess what?
What?
John's got us.
All right.
Got our cue.
Well, thank
So,
you, everybody. Thank you.
Peace and love, all of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Love one another,
that's
Yeah.
not,
like
that's
Christ taught us. You know.
The young bloods.
Yeah. And if you don't know, just ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that it?
I do believe so. Have a great weekend, you guys.
You-
Thank you so much
Take
for,
care. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Peace.
joining us tonight. And thank you, Martha.
Peace.
And Gordon.
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
All right. Love you guys.
Love
Gordon,
you.
too.
The thing that you got